compliment. For that, I thank you.
What is happening now? There are homeless and hungry.
Now it's time for us to stand up for God or we fall to nothing.
It's time now for Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Listening to the general public, what the public is saying.
And good afternoon, Radio Cayman Nation, and a very happy Wednesday to you. Thank you for tuning into your station of the nation, Radio Cayman. I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Today, we'll be kicking off our show, sitting down with the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development, Mr. Roy McTaggart, along with Chief Officer and Financial Secretary, Mr. Kenneth Jefferson. As always, we do welcome your stories, feedback, and questions, and invite you to join our conversation. Simply dial 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037, or you can always WhatsApp us at 925-3261. We'll be back with more talk today following this very brief disclaimer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Live Communication.
Let your voice be heard.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. As always, we do welcome your stories, feedback, and questions, and invite you to join our conversation. However, given that we do have the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development in studio discussing the third quarter report, we do ask that you hold any questions until the later part of our segment, around 12:45. Again, the numbers are 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037, or you can WhatsApp us at 925-3261. Good afternoon, gentlemen, again, and welcome to Talk Today.
Thank you very much for allowing us to be here with you. Glad to be able to take time off from the proceedings in Parliament and come and talk with the people this afternoon. I say also good afternoon to the wider Cayman Islands, the listening public this afternoon as well. Glad to be here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And happy December. It's been a very busy year.
Yes. And thank you, Mr. Singh, again for having us on. And just to say good afternoon to you and to the listening and the viewing audience. Good afternoon.
Thank you, sir, again. Before we actually get into everything, it has been a really wild year overall. We've been asking guests as they've kind of been coming in how they came through the COVID lockdown experience and what they gained from it. But now looking into 2021, since we're right on the doorstep, is there any New Year's resolutions for you, either of you personally, that you're okay with sharing with the wider public? For some people, it's get more R&R. For some people, it's read more.
I'll start first, and then I'll give the Minister McTaggart some time to think. But I would say that we've been so busy and so consumed with government affairs and government matters that I really haven't had a lot of time to think about 2021 in terms of a personal resolution. If I had to be put on the spot, it would be the usual things like exercising more and getting in better health and so forth. But no unusual resolutions. It's been just a really, really hectic year that's consumed us to remaining our thoughts within 2020 for the moment. That's been my position.
So it's a very safe position to be in.
And I would have a similar personal goal as well. I mean, and that would be to keep the weight off that I have lost over the last over the last 9 months. I mean, I always tell people now that COVID was kind to me. And, I was able to exercise regularly, and it has paid dividends for me in terms of improving my health and taking off quite a few pounds of weight. And so ultimate goal is just keep that all off and keep up what I have accomplished this past year.
Good for you. Is there any specific exercise routine you've been doing?
I just walk. I walk 5K every day.
Good for you.
And I shouldn't say every day that's my goal, but it doesn't always happen that way, particularly now, when you get into things like the legislature.
Of course.
Those sort of goals and plans sort of fall by the wayside until the country's business is done.
No, of course, absolutely it does.
Yes.
But good for you, though, keeping that up and getting through the 2020, and hopefully you can both keep it up for 2021.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into the meat of our show today with regards to a very serious topic, as always, finance. If we don't mind, if we can jump into, there was an announcement made recently in regards to the government guaranteed loan program.
Right.
For, I believe it's for medium and large businesses. Can you walk us through again for our listeners who weren't or may not be fully aware, what is the scope of the loan program that's on offer?
Right. Well, businesses, small, medium, and larger sized entities, this program is directed squarely at them. And we did put this program together in conjunction and with the participation of 5 of our local clearing banks. We define a medium, at the bottom end of the scale, a medium entity is one that has at least more than 13 employees or more than $500,000 in revenues every year. And then for a large entity, it would be anyone who has more than 50 employees and revenues in excess of $5 million. And so those are the types of businesses that are eligible to participate in this loan scheme. There was a loan scheme for small and micro businesses, like your mom and pop shops and stuff like that, that was operated by the Department of Commerce in conjunction with the Cayman Islands Development Bank. That's been in place and so that the programs government has now implemented cover the entire spectrum of the economy, and they are directed at assisting or businesses that find themselves in financial difficulties directly as a result, resulting from the COVID pandemic. And so in partnering with the local banks, because government, we don't believe, would ever have the resources to be able to provide all of the needs and of the business community. Plus, you have the added feature, government, we are not lenders and we're not bankers. So it was best for us to partner with the local banks to make these programs, these loans available to the business community. And those loans will come, those who apply, qualify, and are able to get the loan, they will access a government guarantee of 50% of that loan. So that is to say that if, for reason whatever, if the unfortunate situation arises that the loan ultimately fails or goes bad, it proves to be uncollectible to the bank, the government will reimburse the bank for 50% of the outstanding balance on that loan. It is available only to Caymanian businesses that are at least 60% Caymanian owned. They had to be, it is for a maximum period of 7 years, and that 7-year period can include a 1-year deferral of interest on the loan.
Okay.
So that feature is available there. The maximum rate of interest on the loan is the U.S. or CI dollar prime rate plus a maximum of 1.5% or 1.5% on it. And the banks, the loans are also subject to the bank standard lending criteria and any fees or other things that the banks will be entitled to collect those fees from the borrower. So that it's just as if you're applying for any other regular commercial loan. You'll go through the same sort of process as well with them, and evaluation by the banks. The banks are all entitled to take security or collateral from a lender, a borrower, for the portion of the loan that is not guaranteed by the government.
Okay, so the other 50% theoretically is required. The banks actually may require some kind of collateral.
Yeah, they will.
That.
I think I would anticipate that. That in most cases the banks will probably require additional collateral beyond the government guarantee.
Okay, and then
So I think that in broad terms is what the program is.
Okay.
I announced in the Legislative Assembly, I think it was last week Wednesday, that the program would go live on last week Friday morning, the 11th of December, in respect of 4 of the banks. And the 5th bank, which was Scotiabank, they became live and able to accept applications on Monday the 14th.
Okay.
So the program is there, it's available. Businesses finding themselves in hardship right now, go to your bankers and see if this program is right for you.
Okay. Have you had much uptick in regards to interest from businesses, or would you find that out later on down the road after the banks have?
I think it certainly would be later on before we find out how much take-up there really is. I've had a number of inquiries from businesses about it, and some businesses have had repeat calls. Can you give me more information? When's it going to be available?
Sure.
So I know that there is some interest there.
Okay.
The actual amounts and volumes, I don't have a good fit.
Okay.
A firm grasp on things.
If I could help you,
please,
by saying that obviously the government went to the Parliament now, and sought their permission to issue the guarantee by means of a government motion. Is how it was engineered in the Parliament, and that motion was approved, obviously. But the Ministry of Finance itself will then get involved with the actual issuance of guarantees to the banks as the loans are approved. For businesses by the different banks, they will, obviously write to the government and say, we have approved a loan of X dollars for company ABC Limited, and it's $1 million, and therefore the guarantee has to cover 50% of it. Can you please issue a guarantee to that effect? So we will get feedback as more time passes as to the extent of the coverage. It's a $200 million program. Is what is available from the banks, and as Minister McTaggart said, the government is guaranteeing 50% of that. But just as a sort of a summary to this point, when the government, in the height of COVID, was looking at the situation and the difficulties for businesses, we had a grant program for micro and small businesses. So we had a $9 million grant program. So it didn't involve a loan. It involved $9 million of grants being made available to micro and small businesses. They went further. The government went further as well, on top of the $9 million, to say that $500,000 the government would pay for accountants to actually fill out the administration paperwork, to do over the applications and so forth. So the government paid for that as well, another $500,000, and $5 million was made available as a loan from the Cayman Islands Development Bank. So the focus very early on was about small and micro businesses, and then we thought, well, okay, what are we doing about larger businesses and medium and larger businesses? So along came a bit later the program that we're speaking about now for medium and large size businesses. I think Minister McTaggart covered all the important points on the program. The program is meant to cover operating expenses, that the difficulties that the businesses may be encountering, any capital needs that they may have, and any, if they simply wish to refinance existing debt. Those 3 areas are covered by the program. So operating expenditure needs that they have, capital needs they may have, refinancing needs that a business may have are covered by the program. And so it's the government's efforts to take care not only of small and micro, but medium and large size businesses.
It was a very robust expenditure program you've all put together to assist the private economy here in Cayman. One quick question in regards to and this might be better directed towards the Ministry of Commerce, but with regards to the $5 million loan program for, from the CIDB to the small micro businesses, what was that uptake like on that? Did you receive a significant amount of applications in regards to that, and were they approved?
I think, Ms. Matago, from memory, I saw an email a month or so ago, and I think it was inching probably towards the 50% take-up level, so around maybe 2.5 million.
Okay.
It may be now a bit more than that, but the take-up was good.
Okay.
At that point, and so.
I know that I say this, in a sort of a vague way as well, because I just don't know what the complete numbers are. But there were several dozen applications that came in from small and micro businesses. So I know there was a good interest there.
That's good.
And I know that there a number of them as well were ultimately approved. Many were.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah.
And it's great for the small businesses and the micro. I'm glad that we're now seeing the larger picture of the medium and large businesses also being involved in that. On that note, let's go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll delve into the third quarter finances. Back with more Talk Today right after this.
This Saturday, December 19th in the morning at 10:30 a.m. Children, get ready! It's Rotary Central Christmas Children's Storytime, Georgetown Public Library. Christmas stories galore. Bring out your little people to a wonderful experience. Lots of stories about Christmas here and Christmas there. Entertainment, refreshments, presents, loads of excitement. Your Christmas appointment this Saturday, 10:30 a.m. The Rotary Central Christmas Storytime, Georgetown Public Library in the heart of town. Fun, excitement, food, drink, stories, and more stories. Christmas is here. Rotary opens opportunities.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamped Motors has lots of great reasons why you should choose the new Toyota CHR Hybrid for a new ride. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven, so you don't ever have to worry about plugging them in. Plus, the CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. And its sporty subcompact SUV look makes it fun as well as economical to drive. So stop by Vamped Motors to treat yourself this Christmas to a new fuel-efficient, eco-friendly Toyota CHR, starting from $31,900 while stock lasts. Happy holidays from all of us at Vamped Motors on Walkers Road.
CG Britke would like to wish our clients, their families, our staff, and our communities a happy holiday. In this time of celebration, let us remember what this past year has taught us. That we can be in different rooms, different homes, or on different islands, yet never feel apart. Because we are here for each other and stronger together. We look forward to the new year, to serving your insurance needs, and always putting people first. Happy holidays from our CG Britke family to yours.
2021 is almost here, but first there's Christmas. Have you thought about a gift for you? Why not give yourself the gift of learning? Explore new opportunities to grow both professionally and personally. Skills for Life can help. Skills for Life is a government initiative that highlights various training and learning opportunities available for Caymanians to retool, upskill, advance, and access what you need to succeed in the workplace. Want more information? Visit our website, gov.ky/skills for life today.
Get ready for Cayman National Dance Company's Retrospective, December 19th at the Harquail Theater. Retrospective is a versatile journey of the company's signature dances and new creations. Tickets are $25 for adults and $15 for children. Available at Audiophile, Bang & Olufsen, Radiance Dance Studio, or simply call 926-1826. Retrospective is sponsored by Burger King, CUC, ARC Directors, Vi's Closet, Big Fish, Radio Cayman, and Hurley's Media.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you are just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and very pleased to have in studio here discussing the state of our economy, the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Development, Mr. Roy McTaggart, along with Chief Officer and Financial Secretary, Mr. Kenneth Jefferson. Before the break, we were briefly discussing the government guaranteed loan program, which is currently targeted towards medium and large-sized businesses. Earlier, or a few months back, the government had put into place programs to assist the micro and small businesses, and now completing the program to assist all of our private enterprises that might be struggling as a result of the COVID situation through 2020. Now moving on in the conversation towards the state of government affairs in our third quarter. Honorable Minister, I'll put the spotlight back on you if you can briefly walk us through where we're at third quarter.
Sure. Well, last week I also tabled in the House the third quarter financial report for the government. That is through to for the 9 months ended September 30th, 2020. As one would expect, the numbers are very significantly affected by the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, and they continue to show a deterioration in government revenues, and also to reflect, although hidden I wouldn't say hidden, masked in some way by savings in some expenses. Other expenses that are all COVID related are up, exponentially, because never planned for these. These things are just happen and we've responded to them. So you have the very significant effects in the spending associated with COVID, and overall the expenses. Overall increase in expenses is masked somewhat by savings in personnel costs and supplies and consumables that the government uses. Looking at the numbers themselves, we had through to the end of September, we had received or recognized about $605 million of revenues, operating revenues, and that compares with a budget of $672.7 million. So through to the end of September, government had a shortfall in revenue of $68.1 million. Turning to the operating expenses, the financing costs and non-operating costs, they were $574 million for the 9-month period ended the 30th of September, versus a budget of $574.3 million. So expenses were actually, marginally below budget. But I say within the total there were significant amounts for COVID-related as well as savings in other areas that mask the true increase in additional spending. Then you have the contributions from the statutory authorities or sales from other statutory authorities and government-owned companies, and for the period they contributed $1.7 million. That was versus a budget of a deficit of almost $13 million. So there was a very big, difference there from the budget of some $14.6 million in terms of the surplus or deficit that were made by other public entities. As a result, through to the end of September, the government was showing a very small surplus of $32 million versus a budget of $85 million. So in effect, we are, the surplus is about $53 million less than what we had budgeted for. Now, I think, if there's anything you want to pick up on here?
No, I think that's quite fine, Minister McTaggart. Okay. I think we could, if you feel like it's appropriate, we could go on to talk about beyond September, if that was appropriate, because we have information beyond this
October, November.
So I'll be honest and just say straightforward that at this point, at that point in time, at the end of September, I didn't expect or anticipate. We had not, I think the ministry as well did not anticipate that we would be in a position where we were showing a surplus for the first 9 months of the year. We had truly anticipated that the effects of the COVID would have wiped that out completely. And it is fair to say, and we'll talk about it maybe in a little bit more detail, but we do have preliminary figures for the 11-month period through to the end of November. But they show that in the month of November, government slipped into a deficit position. We did slip into a deficit position. But when the COVID pandemic started, we did some forecasts of what we were expecting to achieve for the year in light of the information we knew and had at the time. And at that point in time, we were projecting that the government could expect the deficit to be as high as $168 million for the year.
Wow. That was back in March.
No, this would have been back in May, June time frame.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so we were well into the COVID pandemic when we did these forecasts.
Okay.
So that was the stark reality that we were facing. That we were likely to could see as a deficit that high. I think it's probably fair to say at this point in time we know that we are not going to get anywhere near that number of $168 million deficit for the year. At the end of November, having just slipped into a deficit through to the end of the 11 months, I would expect that the deficit will be a little bit larger than what we were showing at the end of November.
Sure.
But it's probably going to be in the region of 50 to 70 million. There were some rough calculations that we have made with regard to what we are expecting. And again, a lot will depend within these last few weeks as to how good the Christmas season is in terms of imports of not just physical goods, but liquor, cigarettes, cars, all things that Caymanians and our population normally buy in good numbers during the Christmas season. So I think I never thought I could sit here or be here and tell you that we're experiencing a very significant shortfall in revenues and ending up in a deficit situation, and tell you I'm satisfied and I think we're in decent shape. But that is the reality of it. Is that the dire situation that we were anticipating in about the middle of the year just does not appear to be materializing. So I think we will end up the year with a very much smaller and reduced deficit than we were forecasting and anticipating.
Yeah.
$120 difference is something to be very happy about.
Absolutely.
That's me as
million. 120 million.
120 million, yes.
Yeah.
That's a size almost.
Between all the COVID expenses, the additional expenditures, and the shortfall in revenues, it was something like in the region of 120, 150 million or something like that. I never thought I could say, I'm talking about those kinds of numbers and say, yeah, you know what, I'm happy, or I feel positive.
I can imagine how difficult it must have been to come back in May, June, July, when you're working through the numbers and you're seeing how much you could be facing at the end of the hill of climb. It must have been a very daunting process to be stuck in that mindset back then. To see where you've come to now.
Mr. Singh, I just wanted to add in for the public's knowledge. We're talking about the third quarter financial report for the current 2020 financial year, and just to say to the public that legally there's a requirement of the government to produce quarterly reports. It's a legal requirement. So the government would have done a report for the first quarter of the year to the 31st of March, it has 6 weeks after the end of a quarter.
Sure.
To produce the report and to have it tabled in the Legislative Assembly and to have it gazetted. So we would have done one 6 weeks after the 31st of March. We would have done another one 6 weeks after the 30th of June. And the one that Minister Mike Taggart just spoke about was 6 weeks after the 30th of September quarter. And then obviously the last quarter will result in a year-end position, which they then become subject to audit by the Auditor General. And so we would expect to have information and knowledge about the year ending December. We would know about that fairly early on in 2021.
Okay.
So, but these reports are legally required of the government to do so.
Thank you for clarifying on the dates, especially on the year-end scenario. And so to clarify, right now we are firmly discussing the third quarter results at the end of September 30th. But generally, just given that you do have some rough numbers, you were able to offer some guidance on where we're at with
where we are right now. Yes, that is true. And I mean, these numbers, the numbers that I mentioned, talked about November 30th. They have not been finalized and put together, but it just gives a flavor that I used it really to reinforce the point that we are not going to achieve a $168 million deficit for the year. And that's the message I wanted to get out into the public domain, that that number is going to be much smaller. A deficit, nonetheless.
Sure.
And I never thought I'd have to preside over something like that, but that's the reality of what COVID has done to us. And we still continue to face those challenges moving forward, because we are encouraging deficits every single month since the onset of the pandemic.
Sure.
And, we won't start to turn things around in that way until such time as, the things in terms of dealing with the pandemic are really resolved, and we can start to open up the economy completely to the tourism as well, because that's a key element of our recovery strategy as well, is to get tourism back on track.
Thank you. And again, thank you for the snapshot of where we're at now. And it might not be the greatest of news, but it's still a Christmas present for this time of year. On that note, let's go to our commercial break. Of sorts, absolutely. Let's go to our quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll be continuing our conversation with the Honorable Minister of Finance and Development, the Honorable Mr. Rory McTaggart, along with Chief Officer and Financial Secretary, Mr. Kenneth Jefferson. Back with more talk today, right after this.
UCCI students, have you registered for classes in the spring 2021 semester? Class registration takes place until January 8th. Classes start January 11th. Spring into action. Visit ucci.edu.ky/myucci. Call 623-8224 or email admissions@ucci.edu.ky for more information.
Do you remember when 2020 was great?
I don't think it was...
2020 vision, not the year.
Right.
Make 2020 great again with Optical Outlook, the new West Bay store now open. With their designer frames and sunglasses, eye health has never looked so good. Call 746-2020 and book your eye exam today at Caymanian Village and now at Jake Scott Plaza in West Bay, offering premier eye care in Cayman for over 30 years. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a not-for-profit, member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. We have an all-in expense ratio of less than 1%, over 20,000 members, and $490 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s, and today we are still strong, secure, and are here for our employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or require further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
The holidays wouldn't be the same without a little boom. from Fireworks Limited. K-Man's biggest firework discount megastore is now open behind Massive Equipment in Industrial Park. Fireworks Limited has a megastore full of new fireworks and offers huge volume discounts. Stock up early and save big with free gifts with every purchase and the biggest variety of products on island. Fireworks Limited is behind Massive in Industrial Park with tons of parking.
Open until 6 p.m. every night and 9 p.m. on December 24th, 29th, and 31st.
Now you can listen to Radio K-Man everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio K-Man app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio K-Man app
is where you can listen to Radio K-Man everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiokman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio K-Man everywhere.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio K-Man's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. Just about 6 minutes until our 1 p.m. headline news. And in case you are just tuning in, we have in studio the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Development, the Honorable Mr. Roy McTaggart, along with Chief Officer and Financial Secretary, Mr. Kenneth Jefferson, here discussing now the state of the economy following the recent release of the third quarter numbers. Now, briefly early in the show, we discussed the COVID-related expenditures, and obviously everyone expected that number to be a little higher because the government had to invest a lot into keeping the country running, keeping things safe in the process. Can you walk us through a bit about what was involved in those expenditures as it related to COVID-19?
Sure, I can speak in broad terms to those types of expenditures and what they really comprised. I think, one of the biggest areas of expenditure has been health-related in trying to keep the country and our people safe. And that was the overriding aim of our government, was to keep people well and safe. And so, we spent over $40 million in that regard through to the end of September. We purchased things like all the test kits that were needed.
Sure.
And they were extremely expensive. There's actually the cost of the COVID testing, and all of this stuff government has absorbed 100%. Personal protective equipment, medical supplies and equipment, including equipping the Jasmine, which is a former hospice care facility, with a generator, because that was intended to be used as a facility. Mm-hmm. There are also the costs, the continuing costs of the quarantine facilities and the social distancing, the repatriation flights that were organized, a lot of cleaning products, hand sanitizers. There were public awareness campaigns, costs associated with government, with core government, moving staff to remote working. Sure. Was basically a Herculean effort. But it got done, and it got done quickly. So there was such things like the cost of laptops, phones, and other IT equipment that had to be acquired quite quickly in order to facilitate that and allow government services to continue. Then we also had a lot of rental of equipment and vehicles, and the cost or fuel for those for that equipment. Then you also have the funding for vulnerable individuals and families, and that has come thus far at a cost of around $23.1 million. You had a one-off payment of $425 to the disabled persons, seamen, veterans, and persons already receiving personal financial assistance from government. The one-off stipend of $600 that was paid to taxi drivers affected by the fall-off in cruise ship passengers. A one-time grant of $600 to Caymanian tourism workers affected by the shutdown, and the additional support of $1,000 a month for 6 months for tourism workers, providing $1 million to assist farmers to buy feed and other supplies, $2 million to work permit holders in the form of food vouchers, and paying the health insurance premiums for April to June of 2020 for individuals who had been furloughed. Then you also have support given to education and expenditures there at a total cost of over $3 million. That came in the form of online distance learning, including cost of learning packs and the online learning platform that government implemented, free school meals, grants to preschools, and outsourced services for schools, including security, cleaning, and school buses. Then you can move on now to supporting the public sector personnel costs in the form of overtime payments to the core government staff, such as the police officers, customs, and border control officers, while maintaining security and compliance with the curfews, and overtime payments to healthcare staff. And then you have the additional costs incurred for essential core government staff, such as meals and refreshments, and the honorarium payment for staff. Then you can move on to this. Move on now to supporting the support given to businesses with $15 million in funding by creating a $5 million low-cost loan facility to be provided through the CIDB to businesses that are 100% Caymanian owned, $9 million in grants to small and micro businesses, and providing funding of $500,000 for technical assistance and $200,000 for training for Caymanian businesses. So those are things we were talking to previously about when we were discussing the loan guarantee program. Also, we did quite a bit enhancing the capacity of the needs assessment unit and the planning department to deal with the increased demand for services in those entities. So those are the major areas where significant expenditures have been incurred in relation to the dealing with COVID-19.
You know, I mean this in jest. When I asked that question, I honestly expected a 1-minute answer. But you realize how much of the various had needed to go to the various parts of our economy to make things continue to function. And I had forgotten, to be very fair, while I worked on a number of these programs from a communication standpoint, hearing them back again now, 5 months later, I had forgotten about the taxi drivers and the farming subsidies. I'd forgotten about the extra overtime that was needed. I forgot about curfew.
Yeah.
To be very fair here, curfew was a nightmare for all of us, and I actually forgot about it. Like, I blacked out of my memory. But it shows how much actually went into, and I can see why back in July there was some concern of potentially $168 million deficit, because this is what you were looking at back then.
This is the thing, if I
please,
because I know time is marching on, if I could just add on to what Mr. McTaggart said by saying that, you know, it truly has been a great public sector effort, and I say that to say this. I'd like to single out in particular the Health Services Authority, because a lot of the expenses that Minister McTaggart spoke about were initially borne by the HSA itself.
Sure.
And we're now in a situation where the government is actually reimbursing the Health Services Authority for expenses that were initially carried by them. And, you know, the amounts involved are very significant for them, and, you know, the government has and will continue to reimburse them. But I'd like to single them out in particular for their help in this public fight against the pandemic.
Thank you for that clarity. Just when you mentioned earlier, potentially we're looking at a $50 million deficit at the end of the 12-month calendar. Is this part of that going towards the reimbursement towards the HSA? Is that where we're seeing some of those costs being absorbed?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you for clarifying on that note. On that note, let's go to our 1 p.m. headline news. Again, callers, if you have any questions, please do give us a call, 1-800-534-8255. Back with more Talk Today right after this.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, you know, on Island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Government reported the results of 489 COVID-19 test results on Tuesday. All were negative. There are currently 1,435 people in isolation. In international news, a team of 10 international scientists will travel to the Chinese city of Wuhan next month to investigate the origins of COVID-19, the World Health Organization has said. China has not opposed an independent investigation, although the WHO has been negotiating for access to the city for a number of months. The Paris authorities are being fined $109,000 by the Public Service Ministry. 11 women and 5 men had been promoted in 2018, breaching a national 2013 rule that no more than 60% of new appointments to management positions in public service should go to one sex. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo's recruitment drive saw 69% of the jobs go to women. Mackenzie Scott, the ex-wife of Jeff Bezos, has donated more than $4 billion to food banks and emergency relief funds in 4 months. In a blog post, Ms. Scott said she wanted to help Americans who were struggling because of the pandemic. Ms. Scott is the world's 18th richest person, having seen her wealth climb from $23.6 billion this year to $60.7 billion. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and pleased to have in studio the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Development, Mr. Roy McTaggart, along with Chief Officer and Financial Secretary, Mr. Kenneth Jefferson, now discussing the third quarter results as a result of the financial statements recently discussed in the House last week. Mr. McTaggart.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you again, Mr. Singh. I just want to pick up on where the Financial Secretary left off, because I do think that this point really needs to be emphasized as well, is that throughout this whole pandemic, it truly has been a collaborative effort within the government. I mean, it's hard to find, you can't find a ministry, and it would be very difficult to find any agency or any other department within the government that has not been affected by and had stepped up and participate in some way in delivering these services and meeting the needs of the community and managing this pandemic. Everybody has come together, and it's one of the most gratifying things that I've seen in a very long time, to know just how people have just worked together to deliver for the country. And I just have to say a very big thank you to every one of them for all that they have done. It's been very incredible.
Thank you for that. And I think many would agree with your statement that the conflict definitely brought together, the pandemic conflict rather, definitely showed a lot of unity amongst everyone, which is why we're in the position that we're in. Government did its part, but many of our people did the exact same thing by following the procedures and the policies and the protocols being put forth and working together to keep the community moving forward together. So thank you so much for those kind words. One other question in regards to the expenditures. You mentioned there was a decrease in the forecasted expenditures for other areas of government business. Are you able to walk our listeners through where those expenditures savings happened?
Yeah, well, two main areas at this point that have been identified that just stand out are in the personnel costs, like the salaries and wages of all the government employees. There are substantial savings there because of delayed recruitment. So I think up to the end of October, it was almost $10 million. And then certainly you had the what I call the consumables, supplies and consumables for government. There have been savings there of about $26 million is my recollection with it. So, those two amount, $35 million in round numbers, is is quite significant.
Absolutely.
And there are other areas, but the numbers are quite small compared to that.
Sure. Okay, thank you. And then turning the conversation towards the future, 2021 and onwards.
Yeah.
Obviously, right now, over the next few months, you're going to be working on these statements for our fourth quarter to bring our year-end dates. With regards to government revenues, looking towards the future, you mentioned previously tourism coming back into the conversation as a big part of our revenue streams. What other areas, if any, are we looking at towards 2021 in regards to bringing back up our revenues? Savings is a great thing, and trying to find ways to save money is always a great one. Revenue increase is always the other big part of that conversation. And when we see revenues down in certain course of revenue areas, those, I'm sure, have to somehow bring back in the conversation.
No, and I think you are dead right. The areas that are down so substantially in terms of the revenue streams are those that are mostly associated with the closure of the tourism market. And so, there are no government accommodation taxes that are being received at this point in time. Departure taxes that, there's nothing like that coming in, and no cruise passenger taxes being collected. So they're fairly substantial sums of money that are going to be a key to us, restoring government finances to the health that it has enjoyed in recent years. But I personally believe that once we can get the tourism aspect of our tourism industry up and running again, that Cayman will recover quite quickly. We are already seeing that even in financial services, it was not affected very significantly by the pandemic because service providers locally were able to do and provide those services remotely.
Sure.
So life continued for them, and just that the general public didn't know that.
Of course.
And couldn't see it. But, services, revenues from financial services are not significantly impacted by the pandemic. Mm-hmm. We've also seen that, stamp duty on land transfers are very healthy. They sort of just picked up where we left off at the end of March. And we're seeing very significant amounts of stamp duty coming into government, and some fairly sizable purchases and sales of properties. So it's I think I'm fairly confident that once we can get the tourism and get people starting back into the country to as tourists, once we can get that industry going, that we'll see a turnaround and an improvement in government's finances in terms of the closure of that deficit, and we should see that to respond.
Absolutely, I'm sure the private sector groups will be quite as happy as well.
Yeah, I think we all will be.
To have their industry back
to do it.
I think Minister McTaggart, answered that question very well, and I would say that just to add some reassurance, I think, although I haven't heard it officially from the government, I certainly haven't heard either the other way, which is there are no plans from the government that I am aware of to introduce any revenue measures to increase government's revenues next year. So there's no plans that we are aware of to introduce any fee increases, etc. So the improvement in government revenues would come purely from growth. As Mr. McTaggart said, growth from reopening the borders and increased trade and so forth, and persons coming back on island would be the source of government revenues improving, not through any fee increases as such. And I think as business owners and private sector persons, they're quite interested in getting that sort of assurance. And whilst I'm not a member of Parliament, I do obviously keep an ear out for what is being said in government, and thus far we have not heard any plans whatsoever of introducing revenue measures in 2021 or even beyond that.
Yeah. And I can confirm what he has said. I mean, there will be no revenue measures while we are at this point, throughout the end of this term, which, comes to an end in May. I lost my train of thought on that one.
It happens. Don't worry, we only got 2 minutes to go. That's all.
Brain freeze.
It happens. It does happen to me all the time. But it is good to know. I think it's a reassuring point for our listeners to know that there are not going to be any revenue measures, whether it be further increase in the fees or their cost of doing their day-to-day lives and their businesses in order to make up for any shortfalls in government revenues right now. And it just shows how big the pillar of our economy is in regards to that tourism sector and how it impacts not only the private sector, but how it shows sizable changes to government revenues. And you mentioned a few of them: the tourism accommodation tax, the park-year taxes. What are the other areas that come together to make up our tourism revenue
you've got
stream?
The restaurants and entertainment sector. I mean, that's down quite substantially.
Sure.
With a number of restaurants that are operating at a very real reduced capacity.
Of course.
But the other thing we have to remember too, that general public might not appreciate, is that following through to at least to the end of June, and they were the latest figures I could get. We estimated that about 5,000 people had left the island. So
Sure.
That's 5,000 people circulating in Cayman, no longer circulating, no longer renting homes, no longer shopping, that sort of stuff. So that has had certainly a knock-on effect as well throughout all sectors of the economy.
Absolutely.
But, again, as I say, when we get to the point where we can safely reopen the tourism market, a lot of those people will return, I believe, and begin working and be productive. And that in itself circulates money in the economy that leads to the growth and enables government then to start closing the deficit.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I think it's fair to say too that there will probably, it'll probably take a few years from which to recover from this pandemic.
That's, I think similar to the deficit scenario, it's not pleasant to look at it from a few years standpoint, but some jurisdictions are looking at decades to recover from the damage they've gone through COVID. And so I think at that point, we've got to be very grateful for where we're sitting right now.
But I think, if I could just add here,
Please.
I think why we can be so hopeful here and have such, be positive about things is because of the great efforts that we had taken to put Cayman's finances, our country's finances, in such a great position, because we have generated surplus and maintained significant surpluses for 7 straight years. And we built these reserves, we built it up for a rainy day. That rainy day is here. We can deal with the rainy day now in confidence, knowing that we have resources at our disposals that other countries don't. And I mean, you just need to look regionally. I think it was the economist, Caribbean economist Marla Ducaran just recently said in a presentation she made a couple of weeks ago that the Cayman Islands are the country who is best in the Caribbean that is best placed to weather this storm and to emerge better on the other side of it. So I mean, it's just we're getting international kudos and recognition, positive things being said about us and where we are. And we can't forget the fact too that we will have the line of credit available to us.
Of course.
If we get to a point where our reserves are depleted, we have something, we have resources available that we can borrow. And we have to remember as well, our debt level is very low. It is relatively low. And so we have a lot of capacity for the size of our economy. We do have capacity. So I look forward to 2021 and beyond, knowing that we have these resources and that we are in reasonably decent shape, considering all that has happened to us.
Thank you very much. That's actually a great place to end our segment on. We timed that one very well, but thank you both very much for coming in. You've been very generous with your answers and very thoughtful and offering all of the answers to the questions that I think our listeners would have asked as well. So thank you very much, Honorable Minister and Mr. Jefferson, for coming in, and have a safe and very Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we hope that we've imparted the public with some useful information.
Yeah. Thank you. You definitely have. One quick question. If anybody had any questions in regards to the loan program, what is the best contact within the ministry for them to reach out if they had any questions on that?
I'm gonna suggest that they actually contact Miss Gloria Miles, in the Ministry of Finance. So the phone number would be 949-729-100, and then ask for Gloria Miles. She's been the architect on it.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for
I
that.
won't go into email addresses and so forth, but
that's quite all right. So just the main government line, and Miss Gloria Miles within the Ministry of Finance. Thank you so much again for coming in.
And thank you for hosting us. It's a pleasure to be here as always.
You're most welcome. On that note, let's go to our 1:15 commercial break. When we come back, we'll be hearing about the Skills for Life program from the government. Back when we're talking today, right after this.
This season, Vigoro is stocking something for everyone in our 2 garden centers. Christmas decorations, succulents, ceramics, blooms, orchids, garden sculptures and accessories, mobiles and garden furniture, water fountains and wall art, and even fairies for the little ones. Make it a Vigoro Christmas with a gift that will be treasured forever. Both garden centers will be open on Christmas Eve till 6 p.m. Merry Christmas from Vigoro.
It is the season of giving, and there is no better place to shop than Penha, Mac, and Victoria's Secret. Amazing savings on already low prices, and when you sign up for the Penha loyalty card, you get 3% back on all your purchases. And while you shop, enter raffles to win major prizes up to $5,000. Penha, Mac, and Victoria's Secret on 40 Cardinal Avenue in Georgetown.
More than 100 studies on parent-child relationships have found that having a loving and nurturing father is just as important for a child's happiness, well-being, social, and academic success as having a loving and nurturing mother. Do not undervalue your significance as a father. Your children, this community, and the future needs you. Reach out to the Family Resource Center for parenting support at 949-0006 or frc@gov.ky. They are here to help.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square in Grand Harbor is Christmas ready with shelves full of Hallmark and shoebox greeting cards, Hallmark gifts, and designer brand name colognes for men and perfume sets for women. There's something for everyone on your gift list. Grand Harbor will be open on Christmas Eve till 10 p.m. and on Boxing Day from 10 to 6 p.m. Visit healthcarepharmacy.ky to refill and transfer prescriptions online. We care about your holidays and your health at Healthcare Pharmacy.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you are just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and now pleased to have in studio head of the Strategic Communications and Campaigns Program within the Cayman Islands Government, Ms. Lisa Parks, and president of UCCI, and no stranger to Talk Today, Dr. Stacey McAfee. Welcome to Talk Today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be back.
Of course. Are you going to be back again before December 31st?
Well, if you invite me, I probably will.
invitation is now open.
Thank you.
All right, so we're here to talk about the Skills for Life program. Before we jump into it, we've been asking guests throughout the past 9 months how they came through the COVID experience. But now that, thankfully, the bulk of that is behind us, if not all of it behind us, looking into 2021, and that means New Year's resolutions are coming up. If you don't mind, can I ask you that personal question of, do you have any New Year's resolutions for 2021? Is it maybe to continue off of the wins from 2020?
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of lessons learned, a lot of growth happening, definitely. So, just to improve upon them and hopefully it's a great year.
Let's hope it's a great year. Great decade.
Mm-hmm.
Whole decade. We need a whole new decade after the start. So, Dr. Stacy?
For me, I want to spend more time as a reflective learner in 2021, which means slowing down enough just to remember the good things that happened in the day and what it is that you're setting your sights on for the next day. So sometimes I think it's easy to have very big plans, but it's also important to remember the progress you're making each day along the way. Lessons learned, wins, and also having the resilience to get up and try something again that maybe didn't go as successful today.
Okay. That's a very thoughtful answer.
Did
you know I was going to ask that question?
No, I didn't.
Because you had that lined up. That was pretty impressive. All right. One day I want someone to actually give me the real answer. I want to have a mohawk at some point next year. It's always the general, usual answers of I want to read more. Maybe I want to travel more.
Paint by numbers.
Paint by numbers.
That was one of my favorite things as a kid, so I would look forward to doing that again.
Yeah, but I want to hear one of those, off the wall answers that no one really expects you to say. If I were to ask my son, what is his New Year's resolution? It would have nothing to do with reflective learning. It would have nothing to do with, wanting to stay in better shape. It would be something along the lines of, I want to play with my friends more. Or, can I play more video games, Dad? He would be asking me, what can he actually have for a New Year's resolution? I want to hear, those
Well,
real...
a lot of people might say they want to hang out with their friends more, actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
He would say, I want to eat more chocolate. I guarantee that would be his first answer. I will never hear any adult say their New Year's resolution is to eat more chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
That's just never going to happen. I want that 7-year-old, 8-year-old answer. One day I'll get it out of you. But Skills for Life. Lisa, if you don't mind, if you could walk our listeners through the Skills for Life program. So something that's been in the works now for a little while.
Yeah, we've done our kind of soft launch here. And so we have our website, gov.ky/skills for life, FORLIFE. And really, we've partnered with a number of stakeholders and created a repository, basically, of different, learning, access, upskill, retool options, and presented them in a unique manner. What we've done is we've broken kind of the learning elements into different categories. So, for example, and you'll see when everybody visits the website, which I'm sure they're going to do. But we touch on retool. So looking at learning a new trade or upskilling, improving your existing current core competencies, advance professional development, or access to resources. So we've tried to streamline what your needs are to make it a little easier. So, and creating a visual approach and things as such. So if you're wanting to upskill and just take a course or short course or whichever, you can go to that section and you can see what courses are available. Our focus right now is a lot on the government opportunities that are presenting themselves, and so that's why UCCI is great, because they have so many different offerings that really touch on all the different categories. So sometimes by presenting the information in a different manner, you can grab an audience where you might not normally, they may think, well, I'm not going to go to the UCCI website because I'm not ready to commit to a class or a year or, a 3-year commitment. However, they have so many different courses available that can really touch on everyone's needs. And the same thing with a lot of the other stakeholders, with work, for example, and some of their training opportunities. So it's really trying to take the offerings that are available, align them with the appropriate audiences, and change the manner in which we place the message. And, so it's we're going to evolve as we grow, and we look forward to our partnerships developing and the campaign and possible, event or things as such, developing as it grows and as we learn. But, please, we really encourage people to visit the website. And then there's the questions and comments field. So, we appreciate feedback. And, and we look forward to people being a part of the journey as we grow and develop it, too, because, we've got some interesting plans ahead.
No, we seem very excited about the entire program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with regards to, you mentioned that many of the programs that are currently being showcased are directed towards government opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Are you referring to government jobs as posted on the government website?
No, but we do also have the link on the website, and that is kind of one of our social messages, too, to put out. Do people realize that the government opportunities are on gov.ky?
Okay.
So some of our messages could be simple as that, or, that the public library offers computer access or printing services or things, so different aspects like that. But also to really look at the programs and, work, for example, and some of the offerings that they have. And to really, we're speaking with some of the ambassadors of the programs and seeing that, the different support services out there. For example, somebody who goes to work, it could be looking at the skills that they already have, maybe the jobs that could better align to them that they never thought of. So it's really kind of, looking at all the offerings, looking at, how the audience aligns and whether it be talking about the authentic story. It might not always be a job that's available, but it's a matter of providing you with the tools or empowering you or thinking of something, thinking of things in a different manner, changing misconceptions on certain job roles. So, we have a large responsibility, a lot of information to share, but
There is probably not enough time to go through all of it, unfortunately. But we'll go through the website information for our listeners in a bit again. As far as the types of employment opportunities that you're offering, the training options for, the retooling or the upskilling or the advancing options, is it covering all industries, for example, tourism operators as much as office administrators? Or?
No, and the website doesn't allow you, it's not a portal for jobs.
Okay.
So what it does is it showcases the opportunities for learning or growth or, to consider different opportunities that might be available. We do have links that do indicate, the jobs within HSA or the jobs within gov.ky or whichever. But more it's to look at how you can develop and empower yourself to seek the resources or to continuously grow and advance and learn. So that those job opportunities may be available to you or, really. So, and you never know as we go, and as we develop and as as we empower people to maybe look at themselves in a different manner or take advantage of some of the opportunities available or their learning and growth, maybe that will present into a job opportunity.
Sure.
So, but,
it sounds, I don't mean to, I hope this comes across the way it's intended. It almost sounds like I'm talking to my high school guidance counselor, and like they're directing me on the avenues that are available to me and where I can find that right information. Is that what was the intended goal behind this initially?
Well, one of the areas that we really look forward to developing even further, we've started a little bit, and thanks to UCCI as well, by video productions that they've done as speaking with different individuals in the programs. And I think that when we showcase people, and it's in the section on the website of everybody's journey is different. And, one example that UCCI presented is a young lady who's completed an associate's program, a bachelor's program, and now in the master's program. Well, she's done that all through UCCI, but she's also a mother of 3. So when you look at these different examples, or speaking with a gentleman from the work program, he didn't identify, with himself. He didn't realize the skill sets that he did have. And, and so really, that made him look at jobs that were available differently, and even he didn't realize his body language or his first impressions or even his resume, presented a different picture than who he was. So I really think the authentic by people, trying to work at the mindset and look at things. So, So I guess that's a guidance counselor, I suppose. But we hope so.
I remember when I sat down. This actually was my college guidance counselor. At one point, I sat down. I want to get out of here as fast as I possibly can. What can I do? And he went, well, hold on, let's look at your transcript. But it almost sounds like this is an opportunity if you actually go on to this site and actually be able to navigate what the landscape of learning opportunities is out there. Mm-hmm. And that's what the guidance counselor is for, is to kind of open up that career map for you and go, okay, young man, young woman, here's what the world looks like from where you're standing.
Perfect. And I do want to put a disclaimer, though. We are, the website is growing and it will evolve. So we don't have, so that's part of it as well, is, coming to opportunities like this and speaking and further developing relationships with the stakeholders to say, okay, well, what other opportunities, what can we include onto this website? That's free or available to companions or, and also paid for as well. But so we look forward to the growth. So it's
a great portal for opportunities. On that note, let's go to our 1:30 commercial break. When we come back, Dr. Stacey will very happily get you involved in this conversation. Back with more talk today right after this.
Kirk Freeport's $40,000 Christmas sweepstakes is back. Spend $100 on your favorite Kirk Freeport store, and you could win one of 3 $5,000 cash prizes, or one of 5 $1,000 cash prizes. All purchases of $100 before noon on Christmas Eve qualify for all remaining prize draws. There will be the annual Rolex watch prize draw on January 4th, and loads of other great prizes. Our small boxes give big surprises, and a Christmas full of great prizes. Full details on KirkFreeport.com. Merry Christmas from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Cybercrime happens online or through the technology we use every day. Anyone can be a victim of cybercrime, whether you are a young person being bullied or harassed online, or an older person or business who's been scammed out of money or personal data. Cybercrime is an issue that touches all of us. The Cayman Islands government has therefore created an online resource to help keep you cyber safe in an ever-changing world.
In online situations, it is better to be cyber safe than sorry. Learn now to protect yourself against cybercrime. Visit gov.ky/cybersafe.
If you enjoyed The Honeymoon Over, you're going to love the sequel, Fat Chats. Once again, the Harco Theatre will be coming live and direct into your homes and vehicles. As the Cayman National Cultural Foundation, CNCF performs Fat Chats on Radio Cayman. You can join us right here on Radio Cayman every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Starting November the 18th until December 23rd. We will have a repeat of each week's episode airing every Saturday at 6:45 p.m. beginning on November 21st and ending on December 26th. Don't miss it.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and very pleased to have in studio Miss Lisa Parks, the Head of Strategic Communications and Campaigns for the Cayman Islands Government, along with President of UCCI, Dr. Stacey McAfee. Thank you again for joining us. And we're here discussing the Skills for Life program, which is available. We'll give the website information on gov.ky in just a little bit, but essentially a portal with no shortage of access to information relating to how people can improve their professional capacities, whether it's in upskilling or retooling their current skill sets. I guess really accessing all of the resources available on island and virtually for them to move ahead in their careers or move sideways in their careers or move, leaps and bounds like a little frog. But now, Dr. Stacey, UCCI, we've had you on the show a number of times talking about very similar concepts of the number of programs that UCCI offers for individuals for the exact same reason, to upskill, to retool their skill sets. I still want to talk one day about the AR/VR setup, and I was hoping you would brought it today. Slightly disappointed there.
Sorry, we'll have to bring you back in to do. We'll do live. That will be the
invite.
Broadcast there.
We'll have you back on the show just to talk about this AR/VR setup. But talk to us a bit about what's going on with your registration programs for UCCI for the spring.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to acknowledge and celebrate the incredible work that's going on that Lisa has been spearheading, that the office and the Cayman Island governments is really taking such a proactive approach to ensuring that people know about the learning opportunities that are available to them, and encouraging people to truly embrace learning. I was talking with Lisa before we came on the air, and I said, one of the things that I think we've all learned during this period of time is A, we might have had more time to invest in our own education, and B, that's the one thing that we had control over. At any given time, we could choose to learn something new, and in many cases, we had to learn how to do things differently.
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's with that sort of spirit of discovery and celebration that I'm here to suggest that it's that time again to register for classes at UCCI. Our spring semester starts January 11th.
Okay.
Right? We were just talking about fall registration, as you may recall, Ray, which started at the end of August. So our students have taken their final exams. Classes are coming to an end. The university is getting ready to go into a little bit of a hibernation mode for a few weeks while we set up for the next semester. But so January 11th, the university is rolling out an extraordinary number of, whether it's short courses, professional development seminars, whether it is degree programs, technical vocational education and training. I believe we have something for everyone. And if you'll indulge me, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're offering to whet the appetites of your listeners. Because learning is fun, and some people may not want to pursue a degree plan at this point, but if you do, we have over 40 different options for you, from the associate to bachelor's to master's programs. But additionally, if you just want to put your toe in the water, you might think about taking a short course through our Professional Development Center. So if you're a budding entrepreneur or currently running a business and you want to hone some skills, we are offering short courses in business basics, which are in many cases related to improving your writing, your math skills. We're also offering courses on QuickBooks, so you can keep your books nice and tidy and sound, and anytime anybody asks you how you're financially doing, you would know. We're also doing financial planning, which is a very important course that most people find to be very beneficial, whether you're planning for your own business or for your own family's finances. Time management. I don't know about you, but I felt the need to take that course this year and figure out what I'm doing wrong, because there doesn't seem to be enough hours in the day to exercise or to do some other things. And interestingly enough, we're also offering shorthand minute taking. We had some requests, a significant number of people wanting to learn that skill, and it took us quite some time to identify a qualified instructor. We have a phenomenal instructor, and so if that's something that you need or you're interested in learning, UCCI offers that. We're also offering language skill development. I was going to try to do a little French, but I'm a little rusty, Ray.
Well, since you got that cat in the bag,
we
by
have,
all means, please.
Right, English for speakers of other languages. We know that within the Cayman Islands, there's so many different nationalities.
Sure.
And Spanish, actually, if you're in a degree program at UCCI, students take Spanish. So we offer both a basic English course, we offer conversational Spanish, and conversational French. And I've been learning how to pronounce some things, like the name of one of my favorite champagnes. I've been pronouncing wrong the entire time. But our French instructor has been working on improving my pronunciation. So, just simple, important things, but you can learn a lot more than that. If you're an employer, you should know that UCCI is also at your disposal to develop customized short courses for your employees. So we can come to your site to do that training, or you can come to our Professional Development Center. We're known for doing this type of work, and we find whether it's writing, basic writing, business writing that employees need, whether it's improving someone's digital literacy, meaning how they easily access and comfortably use technology in the workplace. Those are some of the things that we most often see that people reach for: financial planning and time management. Customer service, that's another area that UCCI has custom developed for employers. Are you okay with me continuing on, or you want to take a break? Because there's a lot more I can tell you about, Ray.
I see that. I'm actually looking at the list of courses that are offering. You mentioned 40 some odd courses. That's
40 different degree programs. And then in addition to that, we have professional development and short courses. And so, I'll talk about a segment of them today, but what I want to make sure is that people do go to the UCCI website. Sure. Certainly, if you go to Skills for Life, you will see many of the courses that we are offering highlighted there, and we appreciate that greater visibility. But you can always go to www.ucci.edu.ky/myUCCI, because it's about your journey. So when you go to our website, we want you to preview all of the various options that exist for you there. If you're interested in more technical vocational education and training, you can continue programs that you may have started last year, because most of our programs build on each other. So there's a basic, an intermediate, and advanced level of skill development. We offer training in areas such as preventative maintenance. So with the facilities and buildings that exist within the Cayman Islands, you could become more of a skilled employee that can support that preventative maintenance work that needs to be done seemingly all the time in my home. And across the campus too. Also, if you're looking to hold a certification or a licensure that you don't currently have, maybe you're a skilled tradesperson, but you don't yet have a piece of paper that shows employers that you do in fact have that skill set. So we are offering electrical licensing exam preparation courses, and my favorite, I'm trying to find in my time management a way to take this course myself, fashion design fundamentals.
You're going to take a course on fashion design.
We offer that course, but I would like to find time to take that.
That was what I
So I have to start with time management first, so I can find the time in my schedule to take that course. UCCI is obviously known for hospitality, and so we continue with our culinary and hospitality courses. So whether it's cake decorating, whether it's fruit and vegetable carving, or cooking principles, all of that's available at UCCI. So in short, there's a pathway for everyone. Absolutely. It's our stated goal, you always hold me accountable to it, that we provide affordable, accessible education. It matters to me and to our faculty and staff that people that want to reach for their education at whatever level can find a means to do so at UCCI.
And you do also have your scholarships page as well that people can go to and see what financial opportunities might be available.
We'll jump to that in just a moment after
our
next commercial break. A couple quick comments. One, I am going to hold you to that French comment at some point in the show. Okay. We do want our listeners want to hear you converse with them in French. As far as the time management one, I thought that was you're the president of UCCI, and you're self-realizing that you can also benefit from better time management techniques. But the one that really caught me was the fashion design, because your purse matches your jacket, and you actually want to take the class on fashion design, right? You should be teaching that class, I think.
You're too nice.
But on that note, let's go to our 1:45 commercial break. When we come back, we'll be continuing our conversation on the Skills for Life program from the Cayman Islands government, along with the programs and scholarship opportunities on offer with UCCI. Back with more talk today, right after this.
Christmas may be a little different this year, but it will taste as jolly good as ever with KFC. Whether it's an office party, holiday fete, or family gathering, enjoy KFC's delicious, fresh, hand-breaded chicken. The KFC Festive Feast includes 10 pieces of original recipe or spicy chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, tasty coleslaw, biscuits, and a 2-liter Pepsi. KFC's holiday catering menu includes buckets of hot wings, sweet chili wings, or chicken tenders. KFC, it's good.
Miracle Brokers International, your worldwide movers and freight forwarders, continues to work hard to improve their expertise to provide you with the first-class service you have come to expect. Now, together with Consolidated Freight Line, CFL, the specialist in logistical and global cargo solutions, customers can rely on an expanded team of moving professionals that gets the job done in a timely manner. Whether it's your prized possessions, full container loads, less than container loads, ro-ro cargo, or construction equipment, from door to port services, or across the oceans, from destinations such as the U.S., Canada, Asia, the Caribbean, Central and South America, among others. Miracle Brokers and CFL Combined Networks offers hundreds of expert connections that take the stress out of moving and shipping services. Call today for your free estimate, 949-5989. You can also log on to www.miraclebrokers.com. Miracle Brokers is located at the end of Kingbird Road, just past CUC. Miracle Brokers, the art of packing and moving, 949-5989.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
The Ministry of Health and Public Health would like to wish the residents of the Cayman Islands a joyous and safe holiday season. We know getting together with our families and friends is part of the holidays we all look forward to as we gather to celebrate. Remember, continue to practice proper hygiene measures to protect you and your loved ones from COVID-19. In the spirit of giving, help us continue to protect the elderly and vulnerable in our community. Happy holidays, Cayman. It is still recommended that you wear a mask, wash your hands, or sanitize regularly, as well as keep a 3 to 6 feet distance from people outside of your household. To learn more, visit www.explore/coronavirus.
Radio Cayman News. The islands could see the first shipment of COVID-19 vaccines in the first week of the new year.
They immunize several thousand people.
This is the first time in the Cayman Islands that we will be holding parliamentary elections.
What I have to show you today will put Cayman on the map. Something that we can be really proud of, our coat of arms, and now the whole world is going to see it.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. Just about 10 minutes left until our 2 p.m. headline news, and I'm Raymond Singh filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Here in studio joining me is Head of Strategic Communications and Campaigns, Ms. Lisa Park, along with UCCI President Dr. Stacey McAfee. Here discussing the Skills for Life program, a new initiative put on by the Cayman Islands government to assist the community at large, really, to find ways to improve their career opportunities, whether it's in finding new career pathways or greater access to higher parts of their current career pathway. But Dr. Stacey, in the last segment, we were discussing the courses that are on offer with UCCI, and you made a comment which I 100% agree with, but I was hoping you could elaborate on it, and that is the comment that learning is fun. And the reason I asked that is so many times we do learn by trial and error, which often leads to some form of pain or some form of suffering. It's the mistakes that we tend to learn from. And mistakes, they can hurt, sometimes a lot. So learning has become for many the chore, or looking at schooling has become a chore, when in reality there's a sense of accomplishment that's really achieved by it. Can you walk us through that learning is fun from your standpoint as a president of a university?
Yes, Ray, I can totally relate. I still have scars on my knees from learning how to ride a bike, so I fell off many times in my process of learning. But what I would suggest for people that have a sense of apprehension that maybe learning isn't fun, that it's hard work, and maybe I haven't always been successful with what I've tried to learn in the past, is that I would encourage you to think about learning happens all the time. Sometimes it's more formal than others. But if you have a hobby, you have decided that you want to learn something, and it's something that brings you joy. So you might think about starting your learning again with something that's fun for you. I'll give you a for example. So I mentioned that we're doing cake decorating. When my eldest son was 2, I decided that I was going to start making fabulous birthday cakes that would be memorable for him. Now, I probably remember those birthday cakes as much or more than he does, but I just bought a Betty Crocker cookbook that had all these really fun, trains, volcanoes that actually spewed things out. And I self-taught myself through trial and error how to create an amazing cake for each of my sons every year for many, many years. I also taught myself how to sew, but I did it through watching my mom, and then she provided me with a little bit of formal instruction. What I'm saying is you can take these similar sorts of interesting, fun classes, whatever appeals to you. Maybe you want to prepare a special meal. Maybe you want to learn how to speak a bit of Spanish or French. Or maybe you're like me and you want to learn how to do some cake decorating to surprise your family. Start with a course like that. And everyone that I've met that has taken courses at UCCI talks about the incredible faculty that we have, who are very caring, who are very interested in supporting your success. So whether it's bread making or cake making, or it could be learning how to repair your car, right?
Great one.
Like something, or plumbing in your own home. I mean, I've had a staff member that went back for that sort of course. That's not what he does for his day job, but he wanted to learn how to do that for himself. So what I would say is choose something that's exciting to you, that doesn't seem onerous, and have fun doing it. And whatever you learn. And it's just a step in that process of saying, I can probably learn whatever I want, but I'm going to start with something that brings some joy to me right now.
And it's the goal then, that snowball effect, that one win will translate to future wins with more courses in it.
Right.
Next thing you know, you're a PhD and future president of university.
That's right. Exactly right. And that's, for me, it's about instilling a sense of lifelong learning as a joyful thing for people. And you go back to school many times over in your life, potentially, and it may prepare you for different opportunities. But it also prepares you for fun things, right? Learning, whether it's you have an interest in learning about different cultures, if you want to learn more about the Cayman Islands history, we offer courses like that at UCCI, whether it's getting a sense of the breadth of careers that might exist in the hospitality industry or in the financial services sector. All of those are ways that the university tries to facilitate and listen to what people's interests are and act upon those.
So there's the listening is fun element, and thank you for, delving into your history and, the bicycle and the cake baking. Looking from the other standpoint of learning is also very difficult. And so when it comes to, for example, the technology programs, there's nobody you'll meet in this day and age who's ever going to say technology is not the way of the future. we all know it is. It's also a very scary landscape when many people didn't grow up with the technology that we're seeing now. I grew up with a rotary phone. I'm not that old, and I had a rotary phone. And so the reality is those who are older than I am, who are looking to upskill or retool their skill sets, when they're looking at a landscape like technology that's in front of them and having to really understand new words like cryptocurrencies and new words like, there's people that have never done online banking, and now online banking is the predicated norm, right? There's so many changes. What do you say to those people to overcome that fear? And that's a tricky one. It's almost like you need a therapist at that point because it's really such a challenging area in front of you. But even from the Skills for Life program, how do you address that fear-based factor with individuals? Or what would you say to those who are...
Well, I think like Dr. Stacey mentioned too, start with something that you do feel comfortable with and have that grow and evolve. And that's where we're trying to put little bite-sized pieces and breaking up with the Skills for Life, where the retool or the upskill or different aspects of that is to try and offer something that, maybe everybody can involve. You mentioned just, with the technology. With this journey of trying to build content, I didn't realize even the library, for example, they don't have a program schedule at the moment, but it's in the works where they'll pick people up, and it's geared for seniors to come into their lab and to look at the basic use of computers and things as such. So, there's a lot of different programs that are out there that maybe are geared to that specific audience. And so what my goal is to try and find how the audience alignment is with that in the programs that maybe can be more of a basic level, so you can feel like you're in the right learning environment with the right information. So,
and I might add to what Lisa said, in that I've found people have different learning styles. And I'll be frank, new technology is not something that I easily learn. Even though for quite some time I worked for a university that primarily taught online. If you look at my mastery of a new iPhone or the new iPad that's sitting on my floor in my apartment charging that I haven't picked up to master, right? It takes a while. And so learning is a social process too, which is part of the reason why it can be fun. But I think it's most important that you dig in, and it may be that a hands-on approach with someone guiding you and mentoring you and supporting you is the best approach. One of the things that we've learned that assists our students is we've established what's called a work-based learning program. And it's a way to provide students with some income to support the cost of education, which is quite reasonable at UCCI, but either way, it is still a cost for people. But it gives them an opportunity to work first on campus in paid internships where they can explore different types of things. So if you are interested in marketing, that's not enough information to understand what it is you want to do in marketing. So you might, as part of the work-based learning program, try out different aspects of marketing that scare you, like digital marketing. But once you start to do that work, you master it, and you start to say, well, maybe I do like digital marketing, or maybe I like print, or maybe I like an overall marketing campaign strategy because I'm a strategic thinker. And then the next phase of that work is once students have had on-campus learning opportunities and they've thought a bit more about their career, our associated cooperating employers place those students in their own workplace and further support their development and their sense of accomplishment and sense of self. So what may have seemed like a scary thing at first, even sometimes with students, when you ask them, what are you interested in, they didn't know. But now they can say, well, I like this, and I'm good at developing a social media strategy, and here's a campaign that I did. So it's really, sometimes it's about getting involved. It's, those types of programs are only possible because of the support of employers. So we thank you for that. But I would just say some of it's get involved, get your hands on, try something, and see that you can thrive.
Thank you. On that note, let's go to our 2 p.m. headline news. When we come back, with my exploring the other stakeholders that are also involved within the Skills for Life program. But thank you so much, Dr. Tate. That's a fantastic initiative that you have with the work-based program at UCCI. Back with more talk today, right after this.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have, on island.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. British Airways will not have another flight to Grand Cayman until early January 2021, the Cayman Islands Postal Service says. Therefore, the change to the schedule will mean that any Christmas mail that does not arrive this week will not be received by the Postal Service until the new year. In international news, a Paris court has found 14 people guilty of complicity in a series of deadly militant Islamist attacks. The January 2015 attacks on Charlie Hebdo magazine, a policewoman, and a Jewish supermarket left 17 people dead. A California-based startup that promises to make zero-carbon flight a reality has just received a major vote of confidence. Zero Avia, a company developing hydrogen electric technology to power aircrafts, said Wednesday that it's raised $21.4 million from investors. It has also secured $16.3 million from the UK government and is partnering with British Airways to help the airline speed up the switch from fossil fuels to hydrogen to power its fleet. A recording has emerged of Tom Cruise apparently shouting at workers on the set of Mission Impossible 7 and threatening to fire them if they broke COVID-19 guidelines. The Sun published the expletive-laden audio in which Cruise said, "If I see you doing it again, you're gone." The paper said Cruise had seen 2 crew members standing too close to one another in front of a computer screen. These are your
For the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And welcome back to Talk Today. I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And again, we are continuing our conversation on the Skills for Life program, a new initiative by the Cayman Islands government to assist the entire public with their current career path as far from the education standpoint, and to ensure they're constantly have adopted this learning for life mentality of continuous learning, whether it's from their standpoint, the 4 components are the retooling your skill sets, learning or upskilling rather, the advance and the access. Lisa, if you don't mind, can you walk our listeners again through those 4 components of the Skills for Life program?
So the retooling, if you're looking at a whole new trade, and of course, just during these times, a lot of people have had to reevaluate their present career or job, and so, or you could be a school leaver, or you could be looking, and so trying something new, which could be a more encompassing program. So the retooling would be that regard. The upskill is looking at your core competency and saying, okay, well, maybe I could take a course that could improve this. It could be, you could be in food service. It could be everything from the DEH food handling certification that you could get, or it could be taking a time management course, or it could be really kind of, more short courses, short offerings. The advanced, we have that where we look at, you might want to finish your bachelor's degree or a master's degree or the higher education aspect. And the access section we have, and that really is looking, that could be everything from your resume writing to, mastering a Zoom call, to looking at other resources that are available. So just trying to, we want everybody to visit all areas, because really you never know what information could be available, and there could be something that you hadn't thought about. But really, we thought by breaking it into those different categories, we took some of the maybe pressure off of wondering where should I look. So by breaking it down in the category, you could say, well, I don't want to whole change my profession, but okay, well, maybe I'll upskill, so just trying to make it easy for people to go and look and find the area that best suits them, so that's what, and then our ambassador section is going to complement throughout, which showcase some of the different, the roles that people do as part of their career, or the continued development through the training that they've had, and how they started off in one aspect of the journey and how it's completely changed due to the upskilling, or maybe at a certain time in your life you wanted to retool.
No, absolutely. It's there's a lot that goes into.
And it's gonna grow. So we look forward to the growth of information.
You mentioned the various stakeholders that are involved with the Skills for Life program. Can you walk our listeners through who those stakeholders would be?
Well, UCCI for one. So, example, when you hear Dr. Stacy and you hear of all the offerings, that's how I felt with looking at the different stakeholders and the offerings. It's, you think, wow, I didn't realize there was so much available. And I find, this very similar with, say Department of Tourism, for example. They have different webinar series that are very interesting. And, it could be from a personal benefit that you could learn that about the history of the Cayman Islands, or about why, just even customer service aspects, or, so, I'm finding that a lot of the stakeholders have a lot of different offerings. The Business Development Center as well, that's recently opened. So, people during this journey, they may decide to start a business. I know from, speaking with DCI, the business registrations have increased. And so, where you look at, okay, well, if I want to start a business, we'll look at the UCCI offerings as well, that to understand the financial management or the QuickBooks or different aspects, and how it can best support you if you decide to start a business. So it's trying to, look at, so the Business Development Center, of course, that would be, we have Work as well. So showcasing the different programs that Work has available and breaking that down. And I already mentioned the Department of Tourism, and then the Civil Service College for the internal, for the portfolio of, for civil servants, and also statutory authorities. And also working with ICCI and then the Chamber of Commerce. And so we expect our stakeholders to grow, but looking at our existing landscape and trying to pull from a lot of these programs that exist.
It's a lot. I mean, I'm glad you have a very robust series of stakeholders that are involved in it. Because there is a lot and there's such diversity of programs that are out there in career paths to be able to actually explore.
And our present landscape has people pivoting constantly. So therefore, I think even there'll be more offerings added to the website in the new year when, we're looking at different changes and things and the needs. And so the stakeholders are pivoting as well to try and align as best possible.
No, fair enough. That makes perfect good sense of it. This past 9-10 months has been the world on ADHD, in constant ADHD mode, where no one really knows what to do at any point in time. They can't sit still, they can't move, and it's just wild and crazy. So pivoting is exactly what has become the norm. Dr. Stacey, if we can turn the conversation back to the offerings with UCCI for a moment. With so much of the world going virtual in this day and age, and we've had this conversation that's been a relatively common theme throughout many conversations. You just mentioned Zoom and becoming more Zoom proficient, and that was unheard of 10 months ago. Now here we are 10 months later, and we're looking at Zoom proficiency courses in order to better manage your business. It's an evolving, very quickly world. When it comes to the virtual learning elements and courses that assist with virtual learning, for example, you're learning French, but that's what languages are, from my experience, are easier learned in person than it is, talking to a computer screen. It's just one of those. Are you seeing much difficulty with your students transitioning into that virtual environment?
It's interesting, Ray. We have been doing surveys to assess student preferences because, as you know, we spent a full semester and a half fully online to ensure that we were abiding with the protections that were put in place to not spread the virus. And when we emerged in the fall and we were able to be back face to face, we had some decisions that we had to make. And we had surveyed our students, and we knew that approximately half really preferred face-to-face, but the other half were split between wanting sort of a blended, so part face-to-face, part online, and then another group wanted fully online. What we've seen is that a lot of that preference has to do with also the time of day that you attend class and if you're a working adult. So clearly, if I want to take fashion design, it would be hard for me to do that face-to-face at 11 o'clock when I might need to be here for an interview with you. However, if that class could be taught well in a blended or an online format, we know that more students would access and take that course. They might not fight traffic across Cayman to get to the Georgetown campus. So what we're doing this semester is what we did last semester, which is during the day until 4:30. We are offering classes face-to-face. After the 4 o'clock hour, all the courses that we run in the evening provide students with an opportunity to either come to campus or join the class, but through a remote platform like Microsoft Teams. And so we talked about how actually easy that was. All you do is click on the link that your instructor sends you, and you have the ability to decide. So if, for example, if this week's lesson is particularly challenging for you, you might come face-to-face this week, or you might, based upon your work schedule or your travel schedule, decide that you're going to do that class remotely this week and face-to-face next week. Come this summer, UCCI will be offering all of our courses online remotely. It's something new.
Wow, okay.
We're doing it again for a couple of reasons. One, we're excited that some major capital projects are going on to enhance the student, faculty, and staff experience.
Great.
So we're renovating and improving our facilities. And we also know that a lot of students have not historically taken classes in the summer because they're traveling. So that means that even if you're traveling, you can still continue your learning. So we've seen that our students actually have been quite resilient, and many of them love the online options or the blended options, and others really want to be there face-to-face, and some of it's the subject and the topic. I'll give you an interesting idea. We figured out how to offer science labs remotely. We also are offering math labs remotely, and they're better attended than the face-to-face math labs were because students can drop in at any time. So, we've learned a lot about what's needed. I think the most important thing to say to people is January 11th is going to be here before you know it.
Absolutely.
Registration is open, and so those really exciting, fun classes that you want are going to probably fill up first. So you should go to the UCCI website, right, ucci.edu.ky/myucci. You can find all of the courses that we offer along with the schedule and the prices there. I think you'll be staggered by the high quality but the reasonable price that UCCI offers for learners. There are scholarships that are also available. We've been growing our scholarships for students, and take a look at what's available there. We encourage you to apply for those as well. For those of you that have said, "Oh, that's great, Dr. Stacy, but I'm going to wait till after Christmas and New Year's to do anything," we will still welcome you and support you on campus January 6th through the 12th, face-to-face at Sir Vassal Johnson Hall. However, I still encourage you to take the time shop online for your UCCI courses this holiday season. Decide the gift you're going to give yourself in the new year. And we really look forward to welcoming you to the campus or to the online learning classroom.
I'm sorry, I was laughing a little bit there while you're... That was the nicest way I've ever heard anybody tell someone not to procrastinate. That was the nicest way.
I raised 2 sons. So.
That was such a that you could tell that you have had experience with talking and convincing young people to get going and stop procrastinating. Very well said. And I was laughing as well when you said the math labs were well attended. I have no doubt my mom is listening or watching right now on YouTube. And my attendance may not have been the greatest in college. May or may not have been. So I've no doubt she probably got a good laugh on my face when you made that comment. On that note, let's go to our 2:15 commercial break. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up our conversation on the Skills for Life program. Back with more Talk Today right after this.
Do you remember when 2020 was great?
I don't think it was...
2020 vision, not the year.
Right.
Make 2020 great again with Optical Outlook, the new West Bay store now open. With their designer frames and sunglasses, eye health has never looked so good. Call 746-2020 and book your eye exam today at Caymanian Village and now at Jake Scott Plaza in West Bay, offering premier eye care in Cayman for over 30 years. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
The holidays wouldn't be the same without a little boom from Fireworks Limited. Cayman's biggest firework discount megastore is now open behind massive equipment in Industrial Park. Fireworks Limited has a megastore full of new fireworks and offers huge volume discounts. Stock up early and save big with free gifts with every purchase and the biggest variety of products on island. Fireworks Limited is behind Massive in Industrial Park with tons of parking.
Open until 6 p.m. every night and 9 p.m. on December 24th, 29th, and 31st.
Attention Caymanians, the registration deadline for the 2021 elections is January 4th. Caymanians turning 18 on or before the May 26 election may register now.
Every vote will count in our May 2021 general election.
In order to vote in the 2021 elections, you must register by the 4th of January. For more information, visit elections.ky or the elections office at Baytown Office Suites opposite the Wharf Restaurant.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in for the tail end of our show, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, who will be back in the studio tomorrow. We've all missed him quite a bit, no doubt. We are discussing the Skills for Life program, initiative by the Cayman Islands government to help Caymanians at large to get upskilled and to retool their current skill sets to better place themselves in the workforce as the markets start to reopen. Lisa, before or during the break, we were briefly talking about the work-based program with UCCI. Can you walk us through why programs like this are so important?
Yeah, I think on my journey of discovery too, this work-based program that UCCI has to offer, I thought it was pretty phenomenal because it offers businesses the opportunity to reach out and to identify their needs. And then what UCCI does, and I apologize, I'm sure Dr. Stacey's going to correct me on some of the different processes, but what UCCI offered is they will kind of help refine and find the candidate that's needed to fill that role. So through an interview process and to put the job offering out to the to the relevant, student possibilities, to interview process and things as such that can align to that role. So it really is ideal for an employer looking for someone because they will have that guidance that the university provides, have that academic opportunity to grow and learn, and then you could have a potential employee that could, be with the organization and build and grow. So I really thought that was, a very good opportunity for employers who want to invest in, people or need to seek staff. I thought that was a wonderful alignment. So we will be featuring a video on the Skills for Life website. We have yet to upload it. It was in production, but it really, and it's produced by the video production team within UCCI. But I think that's a wonderful opportunity. So Dr. Stacy will identify exactly how to get that information. But I also, in that regard, I've had the opportunity to speak with different representatives from the work program or different people that have been recipients of that, and just how grateful that they are as well, that the businesses have open their doors to want to help people and grow their learning. So I think when companies are looking and they know they need to seek new, and grow their staff complement, I think to look at some of these opportunities that, maybe the staff that are available, through the work program or, through UCCI or other options, and the one gentleman who's working with a local company, he started as just a technician and now he's really developed and grown throughout the company, and he's so grateful for the organization that gave him the opportunity. So I think, as if organizations can provide those opportunities, I really
Absolutely.
hope that, they do so. It's certainly the candidates I've spoken to have been extremely grateful.
I mean, it's a great initiative, to be very fair, and you're absolutely right. It's there's so much that can be attained from this program. And it's funny because Skills for Life now, I jokingly said the guidance counselor in high school and college, and now UCCI, almost the recruitment agency in the process. And it's kind of like a nice little hybrid of roles, and it's great though. So Dr. Stacey, the work-based program, this is a scenario where employers need to reach out to you, or you work to reach out to employers, or how does this work for employers?
Yeah, we would love, I'm personally the person to reach out to, and we really ask you as an employer to think about getting involved. We believe you're our partner in educating and building talent right here in Cayman. So send me an email, president@ucci.edu.ky, or you can call UCCI at 623-8224 and just say you want to talk to President McAfee. But I will come and speak with you and talk with you about what we're doing. We have so many wonderful employers that have said, yeah, we want to be involved. We're invested, and we need your help in identifying and growing talent. And study after study suggests that it really is a partnership. So while we can do things to educate and to build academic learning, we know that the work experiences, first and foremost, at different points in time along someone's education, in conjunction with employers, really does, in fact, change the trajectory and opens doors in ways that never would exist otherwise. I'll give you, for example, if in the video that we just produced, and first and foremost, that video was produced by students in the work-based learning program as an example of what they can do. And once you see the quality, you'll understand what is possible. But the students that go through that program have refined their interests of what they want to do. So they're looking for the right types of internships or employment opportunities. They've learned they had to apply to be part of the program, so they had to hone their resume, write a cover letter. They've learned what their skills are, how to speak to them. They ask the right questions of employers. So we really start to get at the work competencies, which are really our life competencies.
Absolutely.
That everyone wants to see in someone they hire. And once you start to see that, you will want to invest in these amazing young and not so young men and women who have the opportunity to be a part of this program. when I started it was really based on conversations with employers when I first came to Cayman about what UCCI could do differently. And now we're in a place where that body of work is even more important than it's ever been. Hundreds and hundreds of students are looking for opportunities. We have over 1,600 students that we served last year. So we want to work with you as an employer to cultivate talent, to understand what you need, and to help you select the group of potential candidates that may be the best for your organization. So it's stewardship. I ask you sort of as we approach this holiday season to think about, that's a really important gift that you can give someone. And I look forward to hearing from anyone who's interested, whether you're an employer or you're a benevolent individual who thinks, you know what, I'm going to help someone find their way, and I know someone who's looking for talent, so let me see how I can support that program.
Is there a cost for employers to be involved in the program?
There is. We do ask for a financial contribution. More importantly, we ask for their engagement in supporting the development of students, in working with us to refine the program so that it's delivering on the promise that we've made. I think people would find the costs are quite reasonable as compared to other expenses involved possibly in hiring non-Caymanian talent. So sure. It's an alternative to really invest in the future that we were trying to create together here.
No, that's one element. Speaking, I work with companies on a day-to-day basis with my regular role here with Radio Cayman. And so I get the opportunity to speak to these companies when they're in their vulnerable state and they're explaining the concerns they have with whatever it is their company can do, whether it's getting more business or hiring the right staff. And hiring has always been one of those really fickle conversation points because if you don't make the right choice on your employee, it can have devastating consequences for your business. And this is one area and this opportunity for this program, this work-based program, gives the companies, or the employers rather, the opportunity to be involved in the mix at ground zero and help cultivate those employees to actually be the employees they want to be without making the crucial mistake of hiring the wrong employee.
It really matters. And I mean, there's so many ways that employers in this program get involved. They can recruit on site. They can do workshops with us in our Career Development Center. So they might want to talk about examples of what resilience looks like in their industry. They might want to explore the different types of careers that are possible. They may want to be a guest lecturer in a UCCI classroom. Any number of ways that you start to understand who the students are, let them understand what your business is offering, and to think about why they might want to plant their feet in your opportunity versus someone else. And so that's how people get hired. It's really about networking. It's about building relationships. And it's first and foremost knowing yourself and knowing why someone should consider you. So it's really the relationship piece. We're trying to bring that to fruition more often. And if I've learned nothing in Cayman, it's all about the relationships. And this is a small community, so we can do this together. And we've had really great momentum in our first year. And yet we need a lot more sponsors to get involved to build this out to its full reality.
Thank you. On that note, we're actually right at the end of our show, so that was a very well-timed last few words. Lisa, if you don't mind, if you can walk our listeners through again how they can find out more information on the Skills Flies program, the website, and any way to get in contact with you.
www.gov.ky/skills, SKILLS, and then FORLIFE. And yeah, please go onto the website, have a look through. We do have our comments and questions section. So if there's something that you feel is missing or you'd like us to grow or any questions or anything, please submit that. And and please don't just visit us once. Come back, because it's going to be growing. And as the opportunities present themselves, it will have a lot of exciting more content and more opportunities that you may present for yourself that you never thought of. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. And hopefully UCCI will be putting their AR/VR programs as part of that Skills for Life. We've been harassing Dr. Stacey for quite a while about this AR/VR program. We want to see it here in studio.
Yes, we do.
On that note, excuse me, we do need to call it a wrap for today's show. Thank you again to all of our loyal listeners out there in Radio Cayman Nation, to Miss Susan Watson, to the Honorable Minister, Mr. Roy McTaggart, Chief Officer Mr. Kenneth Jefferson, Miss Lisa Parks, and Dr. Stacey McAfee. It has been a pleasure bringing you Talk Today. Sterling will be back in studio tomorrow, and on behalf of the entire Radio Cayman family, thank you for sharing your afternoon with us. I'm Raymond Singh. God bless, and have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday.